If you are listening to this podcast, it means you are searching for someone who understands you, someone who gets you. You are yearning to be understood and to belong. Welcome to the Someone Gets Me podcast, where we help smart, talented, and sensitive people navigate an often insensitive world. Let's welcome your host, ambassador, author, speaker, and mentor, Diane Allen. Diane has the experience and knowledge to educate and inspire, as she has been there and understands your unique intensities and their challenges.
Hey everybody, it's Diane with another amazing episode of Someone Gets Me. And today I have an interview that you are going to be very excited about. And it's not the typical kind of person who does the typical kind of thing. Her name is Ruth. And she's born in Brazil, and she has an amazing voice. Wait till you hear her voice. I love it. And she is a citizen of the whole world. She is the most global, amazing woman in the world. And she lives in Santa Rosa, California with her husband. And when I speak with her, I feel so connected to something greater than just one country or one people or whatever. I just love listening to Ruth. Ruth helps people, especially adults, who are really committed to having a better life, because she helps them deal with the deeper things. So the wimpy people or the people who are having a superficial life, they probably wouldn't resonate with her as much. But you're going to get her really well, because she understands what it's like to not be understood and to have to carve her own way and find a way to create an amazing life for herself. So she not only has an amazing personal life, but she has an amazing business. Her website is essencementoring.com. Now, essence, isn't that a cool word? That has to do with the flower essences that she works with. And flower essences themselves are amazing and powerful. I'm going to have her tell you about them, because she has such a connection and has offered so many great healing opportunities for people that words simply cannot do. We're going to hear all kinds of things from Ruth on the show today, and we're going to talk about all kinds of exciting things that have to do with making your life better from the inside out, helping you with your emotions, helping you feeling connected, and helping you most of all feeling like someone does get you. I bet Ruth will get you. So I'd like to welcome to the show, Ruth.
Thank you so much for having me here, Diane.
Oh, it's such an honor to have you. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to talk to all of us, so that we can learn more about who you are and learn more about the wonderful gifts you're bringing to the world and how we all can stay connected. So the first question that I'd like you to share with a little bit is, tell us a little bit about you. You know, I know that you were born in Brazil. I know you have an amazing voice, and I know you live in California. Okay, so there has to be more. What are some things you'd like all of us to know about?
Well, one of the things that I thought of sharing here, especially because of who you usually speak to, is a bit about my story as a child. I was very, very shy, and I felt different from everyone. And sometimes this feeling was really so isolating and agonizing. And what happened was, my family moved many times, and I had to begin all over again in a new school and starting to communicate with people. And I almost couldn't start conversations because I was so shy and I felt so different. And those feelings are feelings that I will never forget. One of the reasons why I really understand what goes on in people who go through this, because I've really been there myself. And what happened with me was that over time, I actually started to learn. There was one moment in my life that I got to live in a place where a lot of people were also people who had been transplanted many times themselves and had to readapt. And that was the first time I had other people that felt a little bit more like me. And that was very reassuring, but it didn't last very long. Soon enough, we had to move again. Different experiences came. And you might want to ask me something now Is there something you would like to know more about these things, or shall I just go on?
Well, what I would like to know is, I imagine that you were young and you were trying to make sense of things and trying to make sense of the world and your place in the world, right? That's what I imagine. And that's what I kind of feel as this small little girl trying to figure it out and make sense of it. And yet having very significant and intense emotion about it, whether you understood them or not at the time, you know? How did that work forward? Like, okay, so time goes forward in your life and you have an amazing career that's very successful in a not common area of health or healing or helping people. And so how did you get here from there?
Right. And so there's this other piece that at some point in my early 20s, my father got cancer and died very young. And I knew that there was something in his emotional life that if that had been addressed, maybe things would have taken a different course. Maybe. We don't know. But I really wanted to understand the whole issue of emotions and health and how to work on wellness rather than on dis-ease. And, I did many things. I became a photographer. I started working really early. And eventually, it was almost like there were breadcrumbs on my path calling me a certain direction. I started being fascinated by plants and especially by flowers. And I had this career as a designer that allowed me to travel, and I only wanted to travel in spring where I would see all the variety of flowers blooming in these places that I went to. And eventually, this career that I embraced as a life path found me. That's what I usually say. And this has been the path of learning about flower essences and how flower essences really help people through their emotional issues. And also, it really helped me understand more about my soul journey, my uniqueness, and my oneness with others.
Oh, wow. I have goosebumps. That's amazing. So, for the people who are listening, for all of you who don't know what a flower essence is, give us a brief definition. When you say a flower essence, what are you referring to? Because when I heard you speaking about the flowers, I could just imagine them. I mean, I've been walking in nature and had a flower or a tree call me, it seemed like I just knew I had to go be with that tree. Usually they're trees, but there's this jasmine bush outside in this park I go to that we have some relationship of some type. I love this. And so when you speak of flower essences, can you give us a definition that everybody can kind of be on the same page?
I would love to do that because it is this moment when the plant is at the peak of its blooming time, that it's almost radiating something and you just want to come close to it because there's this radiance. This is the moment when a flower essence is prepared. Whether it's a tree or whether it's a simple small flower growing in the wild, it is in the moment of peak of the blooming time that a few flowers are collected and they're placed on a bowl of water, and the information that radiates from them is registered in that water under the sun. And then the flowers are given back to the earth, and that energized water carries the information of the plant in its radiant blooming time. And each flower has so much uniqueness, differently from the plants that sometimes you just see this mass of green, but when a plant blooms, there's a unique quality to that plant. And the moment of flowering is the moment that the plant is ready to recreate its new generation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like it's collecting everything it knows to send it forth into generating the fruit and the seed and the next plants that will come from it. So that information is registered in water, and flower essences are basically energy remedies that contain sometimes a combination of the unique information of one or a few different flower essences.
Wow, that's amazing. And I'm sitting here thinking about the different flowers that I'm attracted to. And I know that I'm reflecting as you're saying this, because I didn't know that's how they were created. I know I've had somebody work with me with them before in my journey, and it really helped with a lot of like this deep sorrow that I had no words for. I still couldn't tell you the content, but I know it's not there anymore. I feel differently when I'm around different flowers, and I am drawn to them at different times. And so I'm listening to you and I'm thinking that must be why, that somehow on a higher level, I was picking up on that some way that I didn't even understand until you just told that story. I'm like, oh, that's how that works. How cool is that? The water now has the energy of that peak information from the flower. And so you work with the flower essences. And so if I was somebody who was working with you and maybe I was feeling like that sorrow, or I'm feeling like somebody doesn't understand me, walk me through a little bit about how you would approach helping use the flower essences with me.
The way I usually work is I ask people what's going on, and through the answers I will ask more questions, and then I begin identifying messages. Sometimes they're also in their body language, or in the way they describe their feeling, and that helps me understand a certain pattern of feelings. And with the flower essences, like I'm going to give just one very simple example. Let's think of the sunflower. So when you work with the flower essence of the sunflower, you can help people find the balance between what can be on one extreme or on the other extreme. So in one of the extremes of the one who needs the sunflower, there's this, it's all about me, and it's always me, and I'm better than everyone, and I'm bigger than everyone. I'm just overshadowing everyone else. And on the other extreme of the polarity, we have the self-effacing people who just feel overshadowed by others. They can't really assert themselves. They feel very insecure. They can't really stand for themselves in situations. And sometimes they don't even know what they like, because they kind of merge to like what someone else who's their friend likes. And they have this difficulty defining their own identity. And you can be in different places in between those two polarities. But when you take the flower essence, it will help you find the balanced state in which you have a stronger sense of your identity, a stronger self, like, oh, it's okay to be who I am, and I feel I can shine being myself, and I feel comfortable being myself. Except you don't overdo it, like some people who are just way too much engrossed in themselves. And those two can be helped by balancing that out into being, less overbearing of others. So it's kind of navigating this polarity and finding that point of balance that works better for you in each specific theme, like this one of self-confidence.
Wow. So when you say taking the flower essences, what does that mean? Because it's liquid, right?
Yeah, they are usually diluted, and they come in these lovely little bottles. Each one has the name of that one flower. And when we prepare the essences for people to take, we have a bottle of 70% water, 30% of an alcohol preservative like brandy, and 2 drops of each flower essence that is chosen. So people can find in the health food stores the Bach flower essences, for instance, and those are the flower essences that have been known for many, many decades and have been tested for many, many decades. And there are other flower essences as well made by other companies and from other ecosystems.
So 2 drops of that water with the flowers in it mixed with the water and the preservative, that goes a long way.
Exactly, it does. They're very economical. And you don't need a lot of plant substance to prepare a flower essence, and it goes a long way. And people can, like for instance, when the man who discovered the flower essences, Dr. Ba, initially, he used himself as the research test tube, let's say, and he would have like these very intense feelings. The first flower essence he made, he was feeling very irritable and impatient and wanted to get things done too fast and was impatient with other people. And he went out to the field and he found this plant that grows very rapidly in the summer and has these serrated leaves, and it just occupies large expanses of soil. But then when the flower comes out, it's a very delicate pink flower that almost kind of floats in balance and has this light mauve color. He made the flower essence from that plant, and that helped him feel calmer and more patient and more able to adjust to the pace of things. And so that's how, that one of the first flower essences that we know of was created.
Wow. So this would be a very good thing for you overthinkers out there, right? Because if you're trying to overthink everything, it's good, I think, to have a back door in. So this would work very well for people who are overthinking or trying to figure all the time, or their brain's racing out of control. And obviously thinking and being obsessed that way isn't going to serve, or already would have, And so this sounds like a really great avenue to help people who are constantly in their head overthinking. Am I correct in that?
It certainly is. And one of the things that I know it helps, flower essence therapy helps when they choose the right essences for them, when they really feel they resonate with this and that, and then they take them and then they change and take another one. And as the process goes, it's almost like they get more integrated and less predominantly in their minds as well. It's almost like it brings them more together, the different levels of themselves. The heart, the mind, the soul are more integrated.
Right. So you all out there who are overthinking and you're disconnected from your heart and maybe even disconnected from your soul and your vision, and you hear me say a lot that 80% of our healing, which is our freedom and our connection, comes to us in nonverbal forms. And so what I'm hearing Ruth describe is a very powerful nonverbal form to help ease that inner chaos or strife or overthinking or obsession or those things that are getting us. Because I think sometimes we don't want to say it all, or we don't know the story, we just know it's there. And sometimes having a solution where we don't have to figure it out or explain it or get into any of that, where we can just start feeling relief, is a huge benefit, because overthinking people can exhaust themselves and feel like there's no way out. So this seems to me like a really viable solution to help people find the way out of overthinking.
It certainly is, and of course it can be used in combination with other practices that I'm sure you also offer through interviews with other people and through your own classes as well, Diane. So the combination of flower essences with other practices is a wonderful way of people helping themselves.
Wow. So can you tell a story, or would you tell a story of a success story, or somebody who came to you maybe and you worked with them and you could see where they use flower essences with or without another kind of practice to really bring themselves into more freedom?
Well, I'm going to tell one tiny story that I used to tell always in my classes that I think is such a good one. One day I came into my daughter's bedroom and she had papers all over the place, and she was trying to do her homework and she just couldn't get herself organized. And she said, oh, I'm not getting anywhere and I just can't get things done, and I'm frustrated. And I made a combination of one essence for focus, one essence for more organized thinking, and another one for just getting things done. It took about in 45 minutes, I came into her room and things were neatly organized. And she said, I'm done. I've done my homework and I'm out to play, And so it was using that essence every 10 minutes for that situation really helped her get things done in an ordered way. And she was able to articulate her thoughts and produce her homework and went off to play. So that's just a small story of that. It was just so obvious how it worked, and it worked immediately.
Wow, I need that. I want that combination. I'm sitting here going, yeah, I have papers all over the place and I'm always thinking, and yes, I'm in,
Yeah, and there's a combination that you can actually post the link to, and I have no percentage on this at all, but this is a combination called Mindful that has several flower essences, including some that are part of the ones that I gave my daughter for that. And it's one that is just very accessible, easy, inexpensive, and that people can use for productivity. Yes.
Oh, that's perfect. So I will get the link from you and then I will put those in the show notes, because I think that that's a very, very big issue with a lot of people, is that needing to be productive, but being so distracted and being overthinking or not, or whatever. Like, it just seems like when you were describing that, I'm like, me, I want that. So let me change the subject just a minute, or kind of like segue into the next thing that I really would like to talk with you about. And that is, you've created this amazing business that is not typical in the sense of most people don't talk about flower essences. And I've seen some of your photography. Now it makes sense when you were saying you were a photographer, because they're beautiful. How is it for you as a healer, as a woman who is bringing something to the world that's very profound and subtle at the same time? How is it for you personally, being a representative of this really unique way to support others in their journey out there in a world that's pretty insensitive?
Well, I think I have so much passion for the help that this provides to people, and for the beauty of the messages that come through the research that is done when they listen to what these plants can offer to help people. And this really motivates me in a very deep way. And what motivates me even more is when I actually get to work with people and they feel heard in very unique needs and in very unique aspects of their own experience. Some of the things that the essences describe, you don't see them written anywhere. Like, for instance, there's one essence called Shooting Star. And that one is for people who feel like, actually, I did feel when I was a kid, I think I'm from another planet, because I really don't identify with the way people act and with the way they do things. Oh, I wish I could go back home, wherever that is. I don't know where it is, but this is not home for me. And this feeling is often a feeling that people have that they don't even know they can tell someone, because it's almost like this secret feeling that they have within themselves. And when we're talking with someone that they're and we tell them that there is a flower essence that addresses that feeling, they say, oh yeah, I feel exactly that way, and I've carried this feeling for a long time. Now what happens is the flower essence that addresses this feeling, what it brings us in touch with the intention that we had as a soul when we came here. And it brings us to a sense of knowing that even though we're not really from here, that we came here because we really wanted to be part of learning to unite with other beings and to serve with our very unique gifts. And so eventually, someone who takes the shooting star, they remember that they really wanted to be here. And instead of wanting to leave and go away because they feel so different, they know that it's fine to be different, and that everyone in essence is really different as well. But we can do this together.
That's wonderful, because we are in all this together, right? I remember feeling like I was an alien, and that I was somehow, that everything I thought people saw was this rubbery plastic version of me. They didn't see the real me. And I must have not been from this earth for sure. And I remember in high school sitting in some events going, I don't really belong here. Not having any idea what to do with it. And of course, since then I've sorted that out. And I didn't know about flower essences. I probably suffered many more years of that inner turmoil than I needed to had I known about a flower essence that could help me with that. And I think that's very important for people to realize about, always keep searching, keep asking questions, and being open-minded. I teach a lot about being open-minded and receptive, and then responsive to new and creative things that are new to us. Some of these things are very old as far as they've been around a long time, and there's a lot of value in them, but we may not know about them yet. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to really talk about what a flower essence is and how it works, because it's outside of linear thinking. It's not you go to a doctor and you get a prescription and you go get a pill and take it, and then the dis-ease is gone, because health is not the absence of sickness. And what your message is that we can be fully alive and connected and healed from the soul out. And that's a different life experience than somebody who's walking around going from diagnosis to diagnosis.
Absolutely. And what's wonderful about the flower essences is that people, if they need to take some kind of medication, or if they are having a health treatment of other kind, there is no interaction because they don't contain any physical substance. So it's fine to use flower essences even if you do have to do other physical treatments. They can be used in combination or at the same time as other ways that people are helping themselves or on their own as well. But they're very safe because they don't contain physical substance. They are energy remedies.
So what about the people who are alcoholic? Do they make flower essences that are alcohol free? Because even a tiny drop
there is always some preservative that is in the 2 drops that you will put in. There's always a certain percentage of the preservative, but in the dosage bottle itself, you can use glycerin instead of an alcohol preservative. And so there's going to be a real minute amount of alcohol, and then they can actually drop that into hot tea and it will evaporate.
Okay, because I have many people that I work with that are to the point where even a drop of alcohol will send them into la la land. So yeah, the hot tea would do it, or preserving it with something other than alcohol.
The preservative can be used, that's different. And there are a few companies in the United States that make their own flower essences with some kind of other preservative that's not alcohol. So I could find out about that for you as well.
That would be great. And so I can put them in the show notes because I
Yeah.
know that there's a sizable portion of my audience that is on both sides. And so I try to cover the people who are concerned about the alcohol and the people who are not necessarily. And I'd like to, if there's choices, I always am a big one on make whatever
Yeah.
choices you can. Okay, so tell us a little bit about Essence Mentoring and things that you do through your work and things that you offer.
Yeah, well, of course, I'm also a teacher, so people who want to study the flower essences, I will soon be coming out with some courses that will be pre-recorded courses also. One of them is going to be about focus, productivity, and creative thinking. So that's going to be one that I think people are going to like, and it's going to be very inexpensive as well. And it's going to describe all the essences that people can use. I work with people individually on one-to-one consultations. Flower essence therapy is affordable and is a process that people only have to come to me once every 2.5 months. And so, it's a work that spreads through a longer period of time, and it's not a big investment. So in my website, Essence Mentoring, there's more about what flower essence therapy is and how it works. And of course, one of the special ways that I work with people is also when people are going through a lot of change. And when there's big changes happening in their lives that are impacting them in a big way, flower essence work can be very, very helpful. Yeah.
Transitions. We have
Yeah.
lots of listeners here that have told me they have struggles with transitions and change and upheaval and not knowing, how to handle it sometimes, even the positive things, the things they want to do. And, I notice that I'm thinking about moving, and just thinking about it when you've lived in the same place for 20 years has an energy to it. And so sometimes I go, that's interesting. I didn't really realize I had that feeling or that experience about it. And so that's another really, really big part. Now, these are, I have some other curious things. What is your favorite food to eat? You were going to have your favorite meal. What would it be?
Eesh. There are different things, but I'm going to talk about maybe one. There's a Brazilian dish that I love to cook that's called muqueca. And it's actually a fish dish, so it's a seafood dish, but it has a lot of coconut milk in it, and a lot of a big stir fry of onions and green onions and garlic and cilantro and parsley, and then little bits of fish and coconut milk. And we eat that with rice, and it's delicious. Yeah.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I like to ask interesting questions like that. So what are some things that you enjoy for fun? Like what feeds your soul that, when you can take in the energy and it recharges you? What would those kinds of things be?
I love walking outside and being with the plants, and yeah, just walking and enjoying being outside and moving my body out in nature.
Great. Nature is so powerful. And so I think the difference for somebody who's enjoying nature and walking in it is somebody who's like taking it in and slowing down enough to just be in the experience versus a person who's like running across a parking lot or something trying to get to where they're going. And so when you go out and you walk in nature, everybody slow down a little bit and take a few breaths and enjoy all the amazing parts of nature. No matter where you are in this world, there's something beautiful about the nature. There's an amazing thunderstorm going on outside my home right now that is now rumbling, and before it was pouring, and it's, I wouldn't want to go out there because of the lightning, but I sure love to listen to it and experience it from here. So wherever you are, whatever the nature is, to be connected on that level really, really, I think fuels our soul, feeds us.
It certainly does. If I lived in around where you live, I would be also spending time immersed in the water. But here the water is too cold, so I don't have that opportunity.
Here we have warm water. It's the summer here now. I think our water temperature in the Gulf is in the 80s already.
Wow.
It's like a bath water.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. I wouldn't trade it for anything. So, is there anything that I didn't ask you about that you feel led maybe to share with our listeners before we end?
Yeah, I would greatly encourage them to keep on the watch for flower essences, because I feel people are missing out in having them as companions in their own lives. And you don't have to hire a professional to be helped by flower essences. They're safe enough. You can go and explore and pick up something for yourself and try it out.
So be open and be receptive and try something new to support your life, to support your journey, and be inspired by the flowers and the essence of the flowers. And listen when you're in the store to hearing Ruth's voice again, right? Encouraging you to try it out. You can't hurt yourself. And what you can do is free yourself from something that you didn't even know was there, maybe. It's been there forever, so you didn't know you could be free. Now, how cool would that be, right?
That's right.
I know, isn't that crazy? So Ruth's website is Essence, ESSENCE, mentoring.com, and I'll put that in the show notes for you. And I'm certain that you've gotten a lot of great takeaways. And so you will also be able to email her any comments or questions, or contact Ruth if you want to work with her, or you just want to share with her how she has blessed you by her presence on our show today. So I want to thank you, Ruth, for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a joy to share.
Well, everyone, that wraps up today's show on flower essence. And what I would like you to remember always is that you're here on purpose with a purpose. So keep your face toward the sun so the shadows fall behind you. And remember, you're a rock star, so go for it.
Are you tired of searching for someone who understands you? Join our Facebook group, Someone Gets Me. In this group, you will be able to connect with others who are intense, sensitive, smart, talented, and wanting to be understood. Diane shares her insights and teachings, and you can connect with others. Join today.